Hi, welcome to episode 5 of Just One More Thing. I'm your host, Janessa. This is a podcast about knitting and spinning and crocheting and a lot of other fun, crafty pursuits that I get up to now and then. Welcome back to anybody who's been watching for the last couple of weeks. I'm so glad you're sticking around and checking me out every week and sharing with your friends and liking and commenting and all that good stuff. It really makes me happy. It's what keeps me doing this. And for everyone who is new, thank you so much for checking me out. I hope you enjoy, and make sure and tell your friends about it too. So let's get started, because I had a really productive week. Way more productive than I thought it was going to be, because I finished, yeah, we're jumping right into FOs. I know I usually do like what's on my needles first. This one's too big, guys. I finished the boxy sweater. It's done. Its ends are woven in, it's washed, it's blocked, or as blocked as you can get with a knitted cotton sweater. Yay! I'm so excited about this. I have never really had a super successful sweater before. I have knit sweaters. You can go look at my projects on Ravelry. There were some ill-fated baby sweaters that by the time I got done knitting them, the babies no longer fit in them. So they got to wear them like once for a picture. I did attempt semi-successfully the owl sweater. Was tried it on as I went, put on the sleeves, checked gauge, did all of that crazy stuff. I got it all seamed up and it didn't fit, and it didn't block out to fit, so that ended up going to my mom. So that one was kind of semi-successful, but it just didn't work out for the intended purpose. This one, guys, it fits. Here's a picture of Brooklyn wearing it. She loves it. I told her, I was like, well, but I meant it to be a Christmas present. She's like, oh, but I need to wear it now. She wanted to wear it to school today, and I said, no, I have to have it for the podcast. You can't. I'm sorry. But yeah, she is really digging it. She loves it. And yay, success! I updated my project page last night. I started this April 3rd, and it was done by April 30th. So there's another tick in the win column. I knit this in under a month, and this is fingering weight on size 2 needles. Yeah, I know. Crazy pants, that'll never happen again. So let's talk details. You all remember the ill-fated steeking incident at the very beginning. So it is semi-noticeable from the outside what I did, but I'm like, if you're galloping by on a horse, you're not going to notice, and it's way down here on the hem. But this is how I covered it up. Isn't that cute? Try not to judge my stitches too much. I'm blind. Well, mostly. My small needlework leaves something to be desired. But basically, I just trimmed up the cut up pieces and stuff on the inside as much as I could. And then I put the little tag over it. And yeah, like I said, you can it's on the side. So if you're looking directly at it, you can probably tell it's there. But really, if you look in that picture I put up of Brooklyn, you can't tell that it's there. No one's going to know. So it worked out perfectly. Funny story. I was finishing it up, like all the ends had been woven in, and I was just sewing this little tag on. And Brooklyn walks by and she's like, oh, when are you going to finish my sweater? And I was like, oh, it's done. I'm just sewing on a tag. She's 10, going on 16. We've got attitude. and she wanted to know why I was throwing a tag on. I said to cover up a mistake. And then she was like, oh, that's what tags are for. I was like, what do you... Not necessarily. But sure, whatever. Yeah, that's what tags are for. This was totally intended. A couple other things. I'll show you on the front. Picking up stitches for the neck. I'm not entirely happy with how that worked out. There's a few little places like where the ribbing comes together where I wasn't really happy with how I picked them up. In the future, when I knit this, what I will probably do is, instead of binding off stitches as I go to shape the neck, where it says bind off so many stitches, I'll just slip those onto some waste yarn and treat them as live stitches, and then go through and pick up all of those and kind of, you know, decrease as needed to get the right count for the neckline, because picking up all these stitches was kind of a pain. I did find a good tutorial online about how to make sure they were even, and I feel like I did that pretty well. But yeah, overall, I wasn't happy with the effect. I think probably the best section that got picked up was right here along the back. And that's just because what am I looking for? Help me with the word. I don't know. It's because of the way the stitches were laying, they just picked up easier and they looked neater. So I don't know. There was that. There was also, I probably should have left, over here on the side, I probably should have left those as selvage stitches, so that when I went to pick them up, it didn't leave that weird gap. Like there's a ridge there that you can see. The other thing that I shouldn't have done, and all these complaints that I have are my own doing. Nothing at all to do with the pattern. The pattern was great. These are just my own little knitting quirks. For some reason, I did a stretchy bind off on the sleeve, and I probably didn't need to do that. I was just worried that it would be too tight and she wouldn't be able to get her arm through it. But yeah, that wasn't an issue at all. So those are some of the little quirks that I need to fix the next time I knit it through. But yeah, overall, I am very, very happy with the boxy sweater. Yay! Woohoo! You're amazing. Yeah, all of those cheers went through my head when I finished this. I will definitely be knitting myself one. My cousin said on Instagram that she wants one too. Hopefully she doesn't actually want me to knit her one. I don't know. Shasta, if you're watching, maybe we can work something out. I might be knitting boxies till the end of my days if I start taking up offers on those. While we're in the FO section, let's talk about what I'm wearing. This is an old FO, but it's still an FO, so we can talk about it. This is a shawl that I knit from my hand spun. I'll take it off a little bit. There we go. This is called, I gotta bring up my project page. Yosemite by Brittany Wilson, and I'll link to that in the project pages. This was part, I think I bought an ebook of 3 of her shawls, and this was one of my favorites. So it's an asymmetrical shawl, and I knit it out of a gradient. So all this bit is yellow, and then the orange comes in, so you can kind of see how you were knitting it like this, and then the orange comes in, and then the brown right there on the edge. So the fiber that I knit this out of, I believe was from Tempted. I don't remember what the fiber content was, but I do know I bought it from Tempted when I was at SSK, their very first one that I've only been to the one, but it was their very first SSK from the Knit Girls. I bought it at the market there, and it was this really pretty gradient bump that I spun, and I kept the gradient. I chain plied, and I just love how it turns out. It was kind of it reminded me of like Reese's Pieces colors, but definitely fun fall colors that I like to wear. So that's my FO. Love it. But now let's talk about what's on my needles, because this wasn't the only thing I worked on. It was close to the only thing that I worked on, but other things were accomplished. Let's see. Here it is. So as you know, I'm gonna start knocking stuff down if I don't put this. Hang on. That was much more close up than you ever wanted to see, I'm sure. Try not to shake the table too bad when I put my coffee down. So, as you know, I've been working on the Down River Cowl, which is a mystery knit along from Paper Moon Knits. Trying to get it all out without making a mess. And Clue 2 was delivered last week. Clue 3 was delivered this morning. So here is Clue 2. And let me see if I can stretch. There we go. I'll show you that one. You can kind of see it's a really nice lace pattern there in the middle that I'm very happy with. And this lighter colored variegated that I was working on, I ran out right about there. So this whole last repeat of the lace, I had to do, I had to work in the more medium variegated color. So this is the one that was just a little bit darker. I'm experimenting with the light. I kind of like it better. I feel like I'm sitting in the dark because I have the overhead off. And the sun, I have a window over here and a window behind me. And there's windows in the kitchen, but it's so far away, I don't know that it does much good. So we're going to see how this works. Let me know if you think the lighting's better. If you think it works a little bit better, I don't know. We'll see. I think the camera picks up the colors a lot better with just the natural light. So anyway, I did have to work in this other color for my my second color. There's still plenty of navy left. So that was my color A. Yeah, that navy shows up a lot better in the natural light. But yeah, I'm excited by it. I think it'll work out well. I like how the colors look up against my face. So we'll see how Clue 3 goes today. I think this is the last clue, I'm pretty sure, and then it'll be released as like a full pattern. So if you want to check it out, go to search Paper Moon Knits, and I will link in the show notes as well to the pattern so that you can find it and knit one for yourself. So that took, let's see, I recorded Tuesday, and a little bit of Wednesday is when I knit on that. Those clues have been working up pretty fast. And then the rest of the week, I pretty much worked on this and this alone up until I got it done on Sunday night. So that left yesterday. I was able to knit on my fangirl hat. Yay! I'm in the middle of a row, of course, but the joy of Magic Loop is that I can do that. So, sorry for all the strings. Oh, you can see the color so much better in this light. So this is the Fangirl hat. I think it said I need to go to 11 stripe sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm on my 9th set of stripes, and the pattern says to go to 11, but I want it to be really slouchy. And so if I was doing just a beanie, I think that would work. I don't know. I might throw in like 2 extra rows of each color just to be crazy. But yeah, the Fangirl hat is coming along. I worked on that some last night. I also had a chance to, hopefully I don't knock this over. I gotta bring in the big bag for this one. So, oofta. You'll remember last week I showed you I was working on the Tree of Life Afghan from knitting from the center out, which is this one right here. There's a better picture on the inside. It's basically a nice big kind of square-ish blanket with lots of baubles on it. There we go. You can see that. And I was knitting it out of Caron's Pound of Love, which says it's a worsted, but it is so much heavier. It's definitely an Aran weight yarn. And I didn't like the fabric that I was getting. I was doing it on size 9 needles, and I didn't like the fabric I was getting. It was way too stiff. So I ripped it all out, and now I have this wee little center, and pardon all the needles and things coming off of it. There we go. Just a teeny tiny little center. I've got like 1 set of baubles done, so you can just barely see the baubles on there. But yeah, I definitely like the fabric on this a lot better. I went up to size 11s, and let me tell you, after knitting on size 2s for a month, and I generally knit smaller items, like even on shawls and things. Typically the yarn I'm using is sock yarn, and so when I go up to even like a worsted weight and I'm working on like size 9s or something, I'm like, oh, these needles are huge. These needles are huge. Like knitting on 11s, I feel like I'm knitting on telephone poles or something because they're huge. I don't know. And I only have like 3 of the double points, so you're gonna laugh, but like I'm using my 2 circulars that I have in 11s as double points until I get it big enough to actually fit on a circular needle. So that's what I've been knitting on. Now let's talk about spinning. I started the bats from Textiles Amano, and this is the Tide Pool color. It's 100% merino and flash, and that flash is basically just sparkles. So I've kind of been tearing the bats apart So all I've got left is the pink and the green to spin. You can kind of see a little bit of the last color gets left behind on the bat. There's 4 of them. So there's a set of. So this is what I have left to spin. And each bat had 4 colors on it. There's that pink. I'll leave this one out because it shows the best. So there was that kind of a peachy pink there in the middle, and then that green. Let's see if I can show the green better. There we go. Kind of a nice mossy green is what's left. The first color I pulled off was this maroon. You can kind of see the color really good like that. And you can see the little sparkles in there. And a little bit of the turquoise kind of blends in. You can see there. So there's color 1. And then here is color 2. And that's that really pretty turquoise. And just a little bit of the other colors kind of blend in. You can kind of see. Oh, come on. There you can see it. Just a little tiny bit of that green, and then under there you can see some of the maroon that got pulled in as well. My idea is to keep these as a single. So there you can see about how, oops, sorry, wide the singles are. And then when they wash and block, I think they'll plump up a little bit and be roughly fingering weight singles. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do, because I thought about chain plying, and if I might do that, but just gauging by how much is actually on the bobbin, I'm guessing that for yardage, in order to get like a nice shawl out of these, I'm going to want to keep them as singles. So I think that's the plan for now. And then as far as what to knit them into, sorry, I've got the hiccups. I'm kind of thinking of hacking this faded Find Your Fade shawl. I know that's calls for like 7 different colors of various what am I thinking? This morning. It calls for 7 different colors that kind of work, contrast well together. Like they aren't necessarily on the same color family, but like color A kind of has a friend in color B, which has another friend, and so it fades really nice. Those are definitely 4 distinct colors, and with the little tiny bits that are bleeding in, like where the colors met in the bat. So, you know, the maroon has a little bit of the turquoise, and turquoise has a little bit of the maroon and a little bit of the green, and then the green will have a little bit of the turquoise and a little bit of the peach, and the peach will have a little bit of the green. I think it could kind of work on a very modified faded. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I come up with. I'll probably find something else. I don't know. I'm crazy like that. Sorry for the shaking. So what else has been going on? Like I said, it was a productive week. It wasn't necessarily a very busy week. We had our annual FFA banquet. My husband is on the school board, so we get invited to lots of end-of-year school banquet-y type things. And we always try to go and support our local FFA chapter. We got kind of a kick. Well, it was kind of a sad, like, oh, we're so old. We were members in our charter chapter many, many years ago. And all through the banquet, people kept getting up and talking, being like, when this chapter was started 20 some years ago. And Ben and I would just go, oh, we're so old. It was kind of one of those, like, you don't feel old, but then somebody says something like, when you were the very first person to start this chapter 20 years ago, yeah, you feel a little old. So that was fun, getting to go to that and see all the kids' accomplishments. Our kids aren't old enough to be in FFA yet, but we still know quite a few of the kids that are in the organization, and that was fun getting to see them and, you know, get their awards and things. So that was kind of the biggest thing that happened last week. This week we have many more end of school year activities happening. I can't remember if it's this week or next week. They're all blending in together. Basically, next week is the kids' last week at school. They get out the 12th. So the 9th, Emerson has his kindergarten graduation. Or if you ask him, he's going to tell you that he's just graduating school. He's done. He seems to think that graduation means that you no longer have to go to school. And since he has been given the honor of graduating at kindergarten, well, then he's just learned everything he needs to know, and he can go be a farmer now. That's what he says. He doesn't seem to realize that he also has to go to first grade next year. The kids' spring concert is coming up. Brooklyn's excited because this year she got to play the recorder, and I'm really glad that she is going to be done playing the recorder. She starts 5th grade band next year, and she tells me she wants to play the flute. Yeah, those are going to be some fun evenings of practicing musical instruments. I'm just glad she didn't pick something like the tuba. At least the flute is semi-quiet. But I know practicing a new instrument like that can end up with a lot of shrill notes. So we have that to look forward to. And then, so yeah, end of school year kind of stuff is wrapping up. That's going to keep us busy over the next couple of days. And then the kids have a really long weekend. And then they go back for summer school. And here, I know it's not this way in all schools, but here summer school is a 2-week camp, basically, where the kids just get to go back and they transition into the classroom that they're going to have next year. So they get to be with the teacher they will have next year, and in the classroom they will have next year. And they do fun stuff. Like this year they have lots of outdoor state park trips planned. They are going to be going, I don't know, on probably various nature field trips from the sounds of it. And then if they go every day for those 2 weeks, at the end they get to have like a movie day or like go to the bowling alley or do something fun like that. So we are in the countdown of days where pretty soon the kids are going to be home all day long, and I'm going to have to entertain them. And you might see a co-host or two on the podcast, depending on whether or not the day is nice. If I can kick them outside, they love to go outside and play. So hopefully we will have nice weather, and I won't have to interrupt my recording schedule for the summer, is the hope. How'd you like the lighting today? Was it okay? I kind of feel like there's still this weird glare here, and I also feel like I don't know, I look really pale without the light on or something, but I do think the colors showed up a little bit better on camera, so we might keep trying this. We'll see how that goes. Oh, I also wanted to give you a recommendation. So, I love to read books, and I love when they make books into movies or into TV shows, but I always want to have read the book first, because I feel like I get more detail that way. And my recommendations this week are for two books that have been made into TV shows where the TV show might actually be better. That doesn't happen very often. I always think that the book is better than the movie. So the first of these books that have been made, adapted to TV series, is The Handmaid's Tale. It was a book published back in the 80s, early 80s, mid 80s, by Margaret Atwood. It's a very dystopian type novel, futuristic novel, where the future is like our time now. It's one of those like where it was published in the 80s, so the future is now. So it's this kind of modern day dystopian futuristic where basically women have no rights, and it's a little bit scary in today's political environment. So the book was pretty good. It was difficult to read, but not emotionally difficult to read. Let's put it that way. The series takes a lot of liberties, but in a way that's still very true to the story. The first 3 episodes are up on Hulu now. Actually, I don't know, I think Wednesday they release new episodes. But the first 3 episodes are up on Hulu. And they do take quite a few liberties with the book. But it's almost like when you buy a DVD and you watch the deleted scenes. You're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Like that totally could have been, if it hadn't been for the need to cut it down to a specific time, that could have totally stayed in the movie. It made sense, kind of deleted scene. That's what they've done. Like, they took the book, it almost seems like the author had to delete certain scenes from the book. And so now she's putting them into the show. Is she even still alive? I don't know. But that's the feeling that I get from it, is that like these were original ideas from the book. They just didn't quite make it into the book. So yeah, there are things that don't track exactly, and they're kind of meshing and moving around some of the timeline of the book. But overall, I think it was a pretty good adaptation. Again, kind of emotionally hard to watch. Lots of triggers. For some people, I think, in that show. So kind of beware about, what you're getting yourself into if you decide to watch it. But definitely worth the watch if you're a fan of that type of genre, the dystopian type of genre. The second one that I'm going to recommend is a book that I did not like to read. I read it because I really loved the idea and the premise behind the book. But I really didn't like the narrator of the book, the main character that you're supposed to like get behind and root for. Didn't care for him at all in the book. But oddly enough, when you bring him into real life on the screen as the TV adaptation, maybe it's because he's really good looking. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can root for you now. He doesn't come across as so arrogant on TV in the adaptation as he did in the book. And the book I'm talking about is American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I know there are a lot of Neil Gaiman fans out there, and I know there are a lot of people who've been waiting a really long time for this to be adapted into a movie or a TV show. They finally did it. It's on Starz, is where you can watch it. And yeah, I caught the first episode yesterday, and I still love the premise behind the book, without getting too spoilery, without giving too much away, without spoiling too much. It's basically kind of this premise of the gods, like any time throughout history that somebody believed in a god, like the Norse gods or the Greek gods or whatever, all of those exist and are living among us in real life. And it's kind of this war between old gods, like the Norse gods and the Greek gods and things of that nature, and the new gods, which are like technology and the internet and, you know, yeah, so not so much like religious icons, but things that people feel strongly enough about that they become gods. And I don't know, it's a very interesting premise. If you haven't read the book, give it a try. You might actually like the book. I did not care for the book nearly as much, but I do think that they've done a great job bringing it to life on the small screen for TV. So I'm interested to see where it goes. I will warn you though that the TV show is pretty graphic. It's on Starz, so they can be as graphic and bloody as they want to be, and of course there's the nudity because it's cable, and apparently you can't watch TV on cable without seeing naked people. Whatever. Artistic license. So those are my 2 recommendations for the week. Read the books, check out the TV shows. I hope you like them. If you have recommendations that you would like to share, if you are watching something or reading something or found a book that you just absolutely love that has like the most amazing patterns or whatever it may be, if you have recommendations, head over to the Ravelry group and let us know about those. I'd love to hear what your interests are. So again, thank you so much for watching and for coming back every week. If you really enjoyed the episode, make sure and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes. You can find show notes on Ravelry and on Facebook, and you can follow me on Instagram, and all of those links are in the description. So until next week,